Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, July 26th. I can't believe we're already at the end of July already, but there's about 400 albums coming out this week. I got 12 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's about 400 albums coming out this week. I'm only going to talk about 12 on the show though today, so if there's something I don't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. And like always, if you're unable to find any of these in your local brick and mortar stores, I'll put links down below in the comment section if you want to pick them up. There's a couple of big expanded edition box sets coming out this week. The first one was Beastie Boys' Ill Communication. Came out back in 1994. It was their fourth studio album. 30th anniversary release. It's going to run you about $120 online. This is a 3 LP expanded edition. So what you're getting in this set is the first and second LP are the standard album. And then on the third LP, you got 12 additional bonus tracks on here. You got remixes on here. There's some, you got B-sides on here, just some other rare tracks from across that period or during the recording sessions for that album you got on there. So it looks like maybe it might be a pretty cool release. So here's my thing when it comes to these box sets. And I guess I'll say this about the next one also. I'm not a huge fan of these single album expanded editions. I do have several of them in my collection. I guess I don't think I listen to the extra bonus material enough to justify spending really over $100 for these albums. So, if the price eventually drops on this and I can get this on sale somewhere for, say $80 to $90, I might grab a copy of it because I love this album. I mean, when it comes to Beastie Boys music, yes, Ill Communication, License to Ill and some other bigger albums, I love so many of their other albums also, but I think Ill Communication, yes, it's known for Sabotage. There's so many other great tracks on this one. I think, at least in my opinion, this was the Beastie Boys' best album. Hit number one on the Billboard 200. Sold well over 3 million copies here in the U.S. It's just a gigantic album. Therefore, like the middle part of the 90s, this album was absolutely everywhere. So you got that one coming out this week, and then you got The Police, Synchronicity coming out this week also. This was released in 1983. It was their fifth and final studio album. So this is a 4 LP expanded edition. So you got one extra disc in there. It's a lot more money though. It's going to run you about $175. It looks like you are getting a little bit more as far as like bonus material included in this one. So the first LP is a newly remastered version of the original album, all from the original analog tapes. And then the second, third, and fourth LPs are all B-sides, alternate takes, demos, live tracks. And I guess that's the thing when it comes to this bonus material on here is, yeah, the Beastie Boys stuff is kind of cool, but just some B-sides mainly is what I'm interested in there. I do like that they're including some live material with this Synchronicity release. I love this album. And it's, I'm not a big fan of The Police. I do have an original pressing of Synchronicity. So, I'm not going to pick up this one. I think it should all be available on streaming online. So, I'll stream the extra bonus material. And, maybe if I can get this on sale somewhere, eventually I might grab a copy of it. But it's all housed in a nice deluxe, big, nice deluxe slipcase on there. It does come with a 60-page book. It's got new liner notes on there. It's got photos. It's got interviews. You're getting a lot more content in this police release than you are with the Beastie Boys release. The next two releases are both ones that I've considered pre-ordering. I haven't put in pre-orders for them yet. I'll probably just grab copies of them this week. One is an RSD Essentials release. And the first one I'm going to talk about, there's multiple variants of it, so I haven't decided which version of the first one I'm going to grab. But the first one is Ghost, Right Here, Right Now. This is a new release from them. It's a soundtrack for the concert movie it was a limited release in theaters maybe a month or so back. My daughter went and saw it. I haven't seen it yet, but she raved about it. And there's been a lot of great reviews about it. I will see it eventually. I just haven't gotten there yet. But this is a 2 LP release. Like I said, multiple variants of this one. They're going to be available. And it's going to run you about $33 online. So this is recorded over the last 2 nights of their latest tour. I think they were both recorded in LA, I believe. But what this does is the Right Here, Right Now, the movie kind of sets up the next phase for the band. So I'm kind of interested to check out. I haven't gotten any spoilers yet. Hopefully I'm gonna kind of get to see it before any of the kind of secret stuff or hidden stuff in the movie gets leaked out there. But the soundtrack itself, I love Ghost. I saw them on this tour last year, and it was one of the best shows, probably one of the top 10 concerts I've ever been to. So, like I said, definitely interested in checking out the movie. I'm definitely gonna grab a copy of the soundtrack. Like, I might not get it this week. We'll see if I get it this week or next week. So you get that coming out this week, and then the RSD Essentials release that's coming out this week is Misfits, Earth AD, Wolf's Blood, released back in 1983. It was the second studio album and the last studio album of the Glenn Danzig era, the first era of the band. This was released, I think it was 2 or 3 months after the breakup of the band in October of that year. So this one's also going to run you about $33 online. This is going to be on purple vinyl. It looks like at least the mock-up I saw it online looks pretty cool. I'm a huge Misfits fan. So what you're getting in this is a reissue of the original 9-track list of the album when it first came out back in '83. So the 3 songs you're missing on here are, I think it's We Bite, Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight, and Die Die My Darling. That was the third track. Those 3 tracks are missing off of this release. Those 3 tracks were on, I think, almost all of the other reissues that have come out since '83 on this album. Those 3 tracks are 3 of my favorite Misfits tracks. So that's kind of the thing I've kind of gone back and forth on with this. For $33, I definitely would grab it if those 3 tracks were included on there, but I probably will end up picking this up if it is available in my local record stores. So you're not going to be able to buy this anywhere online, through any online retailer, so nothing from Amazon or anything like that. You're going to get this. So you're only going to be able to get this ordering it from a local brick and mortar store. I will put a link down in the comment section for one of my local stores if you want to order from them. So the next album is one that I think I've got some questions about, because I'm not exactly sure what the release date is, what the actual release date is for this one, because I see, at least on this artist's website, it says that that was released last week. And then I see a lot of record stores have it listed as a release this week, but I'm also seeing others listing it for mid-August. So this album is Olivia Rodrigo, Guts, released last year. It was her second studio album. Gonna run you about $48 online. This is the spilled version, the deluxe edition of this album. It's a 2 LP release. It's I think it's white with purple splatter, and then the second disc is white with red splatter. It looks really cool. The 5 tracks, the 5 additional bonus tracks you're getting on this, though, were released for Record Store Day earlier this year. So it's, I guess if you have her album, if you have Guts, and you have that RSD release, you kind of have what you're getting in this package. But it does come with a little bit different artwork. I end up passing on the RSD release. I love this album. I guess the big thing with Olivia Rodrigo was I thought she did a really good job with her first album. And then I was really hoping to see what kind of growth she would make musically from her first album to second album. I think there's a lot there. I think some of the better parts on Guts are better than the better parts on Sour, if that makes sense at all. But I'll stream the extra bonus tracks. I already have a copy of Guts, so I'm not gonna spend the $50 to get a copy of this deluxe edition. But like I said, it's either getting released this week or last week or sometime in August, so somewhere in between. I'm assuming that the way that kind of broke down is, it looks like they might have done like a limited release through her website last week, and now it's getting a wider release this week. And maybe some stores have it listed for mid-August because they don't really know when their stock is going to come in. I think it's kind of the way at least that's the way I assume that's kind of breaking down. So they got that coming out this week, and then you got Mariah Carey #1's getting reissued. This was released back in 1998. It was a greatest hits compilation. It's going to run you about $38 online. This is a 2 LP release, so this was an RSD first released from 2022, I think. Yes, from back in 2022. So this is one of those rare instances where the RSD release was on black vinyl. And then this reissue that's coming out this week is on silver vinyl. So it's kind of cool that they're doing like a colored version of it, if it really matters. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Mariah Carey fan, so I was definitely somebody that was okay having a greatest hits compilation. So what you're getting on this is the first 13 of her #1 singles, which are all really great tracks. When this was released for RSD last year, 2 years ago now, it was the first time it had been reissued on vinyl since it was first released back in 1998. So if you didn't grab a copy for Record Store Day last year or 2 years ago, it'll be available this week. So the next two releases are from bands that, I don't know, for one reason or another, I've never really dug into the discography past like their hits and maybe a couple other tracks outside of that. But, I don't really have a reason why. I definitely will check out more of their stuff this week. But the first one is the new live album from Blur, live at Wembley Stadium. So there's two different versions of this. There's a 3 LP version that's going to run you about $60. And then there's a 2 LP version that's going to run you around $40. So what's the big difference between these? So they were recorded on July 8th and July 9th, 2023. So the 3 LP version is the full Sunday performance. And then I think it might be missing one track. There's 25 tracks on the 3 LP release. And then the 2 LP release it's 17 tracks on it, but it's kind of split between the Saturday and Sunday performance. So, like I said, it's really kind of weird that they would do it like that. I don't know. I really don't know why they would. Why not just release like the full 2-day box set and then just do like a 2 LP compilation of the 2 days, like a greatest hits of the performances? It's typically how bands release stuff like that, but I don't know. It looks like a pretty cool release. I'll stream it and check it out when it's released. I will say that there is also a 2 LP picture disc version that's coming out also this week. So you have the new live album coming out, and then you get a reissue of Coheed and Cambria, In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. Released back in 2003, it was their second studio album. 2 LP release, it's going to run you about $36 online. So if you're unfamiliar with Coheed and Cambria, they're one of the better, I think, progressive rock bands of the 2000s. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't really know if I consider them. They're like kind of progressive rock, also kind of like post-hardcore. It's kind of hard to kind of pigeonhole them into one genre. But, like I said, what I've listened to the band, I like what I've heard. I've just never really dug, more past those bigger hits. So this was a pretty big release. It hit number 52 on the Billboard 200. Yeah, so this is being released. So this is a reissue of the 20th anniversary release from last year. So they did the 20th anniversary release. I think there was a couple of color variants they did last year. And then there's a black version that's coming out this week. So next album is another one where I decided not to pre-order it. I probably will grab a copy of it this week, though. This is Linkin Park, The Hunting Party. Came out back in 2014. It was their 6th studio album, celebrating its 10th anniversary release. It's a 2 LP release on a translucent blue vinyl. It's going to run you about $34 online. So this is a big return to form album for Linkin Park. It was the first album since Meteora not to be produced by Rick Rubin. And I know Rick Rubin is a great producer. He's done a lot of really great albums over the years, but I didn't really like the direction that he took Linkin Park. This album was kind of a return to the nu metal sound from the first couple of albums. I think the darker, heavier sound really played well to critics and fans. The album sold really well. Hit number 3 on the Billboard 200, sold over 1 million copies in the U.S., which is a lot for an album in 2014. Like I said, if all you know is the first couple of albums and kind of lost Linkin Park after that, this is kind of a great album to go back through and check out. I wasn't really a huge fan of the album that came out last. What was it? One More Light, I think was the name of it. They kind of went back to that like pre or post Meteora sound, but this is a fantastic album to kind of go through. I put this up there with some of their better works that they've had in their career. So you got that one getting reissued this week, and then you got the next one that's been one of those albums that's been way overdue to get reissued. This is Cat Stevens' Foreigner. Came out back in 1973. It was his 7th studio album. It's newly remastered version. It's going to run you about $33 online. I know this is not the most popular Cat Stevens album. And for the longest time, it was one that I wasn't a huge fan of. It's definitely grown on me a lot over the years. This is the first time it's been reissued since 1981. So it's a long time since it's been reissued. I think in 1981, it was like pressed in Argentina. I think it was the pressing. The last time it was pressed in like the U.S., I want to say it was like 1978. So a really long time. They've been reissuing a lot of Cat Stevens stuff over the last few years. So it's not a surprise this one's getting reissued this week. So the last 2 albums on the list are both kind of underrated Grateful Dead albums. They've been slowly reissuing a lot of their stuff from the 70s over the last probably year and a half, 2 years. These are 2 albums that if you haven't listened to them, it's definitely worth checking out. The first one is Shakedown Street, released in 1978. It was their 10th studio album. It's going to run you about $24 online. So this is a follow-up to Terrapin Station, which came out in 77. Musically, it's very different. They tried to be a little more experimental with the album. Shakedown Street, if you listen to the title track, it almost kind of has this I don't want to say disco vibe, but it kind of sounds like a disco song. So they're, like I said, they're definitely going down some different paths, trying to do some different stuff, musically on this album. It didn't work on a couple of tracks, but some really good stuff on this album. This is one where, to be honest, I've never been a big Grateful Dead fan. And then over the last probably year and a half or so since they've been reissuing their albums, I've been slowly kind of starting to get more and more into their music. This is one where I hadn't listened to it before until probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was impressed with some of the stuff on here. So it's one I'll keep an eye on. Like I said, $24, not a bad price for an album. And then the second one is Go to Heaven. This was released back in 1980. It was their 11th studio album. It's also going to run you $24 online. So this is the band's last studio album for 7 years. It was a 7-year gap between this and In the Dark, which In the Dark is probably my favorite or one of my favorite Grateful Dead albums, but it was kind of a weird period of time for the Grateful Dead. They were contractually obligated to release another studio album before they could release any more live material. So in 81, they were to release Dead Set and Reckoning were the 2 live albums that came out in 1981. 2 albums that before a couple of weeks ago when they got reissued, I'd never listened to them before, and I was really impressed with how good those live albums were. And, that's kind of what the Grateful Dead are known for, is their live stuff, to be completely honest. And so I wasn't all that surprised, especially with all the reviews, all the great reviews those albums got. Because one's kind of cool, because one's like got an electric vibe to it, and the other one's got an acoustic vibe, so it's kind of contrasting live albums. So it's kind of cool what they did with that. But, this album did pretty well commercially. It charted pretty well. It actually charted better than some of the albums they released before that. But I think what really hurt this album, and it's funny, I was just talking about this earlier today with somebody else, is the album artwork on here. I think that's kind of what pushed some of the sales down on this one. Because look at the picture. It's got to be some of the worst album artwork of the late 70s, early part of the 80s. I just don't know what the vibe they were trying. I understand they were trying to go with the whole Go to Heaven kind of theme, but that's just, the album artwork really hurt this album. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. I'll probably grab that Ghost release. I might grab that Misfits release also, as much as I don't want to pay $33 for 9 tracks, even though I already have most of those. I know I've got them all on CD, but I think I've got most of them on vinyl also. But I don't know, maybe grab that Olivia Rodrigo release. We'll see what I end up grabbing this week. There's a couple of things I will stream, though. I'll definitely, like I said, I'll get more into that Blur and Coheed and Cambria, kind of dig through some of their discographies. We'll see what I end up grabbing this week, but let me know what you guys are looking forward to grabbing. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.